I'll bet if I asked you if you thought you were open-minded, you would say absolutely, I'm open-minded. I don't think I've ever met anyone who would answer no, I'm very closed-minded to that question. We all think we're open to new ideas, that we're not tied to our own assumptions. Yet I find it's very hard for us to challenge our own assumptions. Today's Power Presence Makeover moment is challenge your own assumptions. And to illustrate this, I'm going to give you a real life example from an executive team that I was working with in a publishing company several years ago, and how our inability to challenge our own assumptions can be so unconscious that we don't even realize it. I was working with an executive team of a large publication, and we were doing scenario planning. And I was setting up the scenarios so that we could start planning a strategy for the future. I actually hired a consultant to come in to help put the scenarios together so that they would be realistic. And for those of you who don't know what scenario planning is, it's basically creating alternative future scenarios and then trying to plan what you would do if any of these scenarios took place. One of the scenarios was immediately rejected by the team. They laughed. They said, this is so far-fetched. Who is this guy that put this together? He doesn't really understand our industry. Blah, blah, blah. What you should know about this group is that this was a group of people who were really smart, incredibly open-minded, and yet one of the scenarios seemed to be so far out of the paradigm of how they saw their work or their current work that they immediately dismissed it and said, okay, we're not even going to waste our time working on this scenario because it's so far-fetched. Well, the scenario, folks, was that the newspaper industry would be obsolete, all right, and that these newspapers were now being bought by Disney. Okay, flash forward 15 years from the time that this was done. That's not so far-fetched, is it? And, we went ahead and we did the scenario planning, and it was a great exercise. But I'm always reminded of that example because it points to how easy it is for us to dismiss something or dismiss a new idea or dismiss anyone when it doesn't fit into the paradigm that we have of this is the way we do things. This is far-fetched. This would never happen. I'll bet you've said, well, we don't really do it that way. Or people that say that. Well, that wouldn't work here. When you catch yourself doing that, stop and ask yourself, what assumptions am I making here? Challenge those assumptions. Be curious. What if this were true? What could be possible here? It's just a matter of stopping, pausing, and stepping back and seeing that, hey, you might not be as open-minded as you think you are because we all have sets of assumptions that we come in with. So Power Presence Makeover moment for today. Challenge your own assumptions. You may not be as open-minded as you think. Thanks for watching. And always remember this. Every single moment, you have a choice in what you say, what you do, and how you make people feel. Pause. Make those choices wisely and intentionally, because every single moment, those choices are who you become.